Good old crazy Baku. Well, it certainly was on Friday and Saturday, and even Sunday gave us some good talking points to get our teeth into for a bit of analysis. And I'm going to start with the start. So once again, the race was kind of decided at the start. And once again, it was the man who started second who got the better getaway. It was Lewis Hamilton on the inside, Valtteri Bottas on the outside. So Hamilton gets away really nicely, and he's coming right up the inside of Valtteri Bottas, and actually into the corner, he's slightly ahead. But it's really impressive from Bottas that he just kept around the outside at turn 1, managed to get a little bit of drive as Lewis Hamilton just had a small oversteer on the exit. So he's now a little bit further ahead for turn 2. Hamilton up against it. Turn 2 is not the sort of place you want to be throwing in a tentative lunge, so he doesn't manage to make that one stick. Bottas stays on the outside, again, impressive. But now down to turn 3, Hamilton has another chance. He picks up the slipstream. Bottas knows this one's coming, so he manages to get a clean car ahead. Defends to the inside. Hamilton's on the outside. But it's again just super commitment from Bottas on the brakes. He really knew the grip level from lap 1. How did Bottas know when to brake for these corners? The first things first, he started on pole. So an interesting thing is, if you look at his warm-up lap, he actually just accelerates flat out towards turn 1, so he can get a bit of a gauge on a brake point, because when the drivers are doing their practice starts throughout the weekend, they're doing it from the end of the pit lane, they never get a chance to launch from the grid to the first corner, so you have no idea where you're going to brake. But an interesting comparison we can have is with Lewis Hamilton against Nico Rosberg, and it wasn't quite the same story. Right, so this is Austin 2015, and there's a championship at stake for Lewis Hamilton, admittedly, on this one. It's a very different track, very different conditions, but Rosberg starts on pole, Hamilton starts second, and look, by the time they get into turn 1, they are pretty much neck and neck. It's kind of an exact repeat, albeit with very different circumstances. Rosberg turns in, tries to hang it around the outside as Valtteri Bottas did, and look where he ends up, miles off the track. No chance of him managing to stay around the outside of Hamilton that time. Obviously, Hamilton couldn't have quite done the same to Bottas because Bottas would be in the barriers, but he was very kind to Valtteri Bottas on the first corner, particularly. The second corner was maybe less of a choice because he was a bit further back. Bottas did a really super job to stay on the outside, but would Nico Rosberg have been given that chance? I'm not quite sure. So 4 races into the championship, and Valtteri Bottas is the championship leader. And Lewis Hamilton was kind to his teammate, but Bottas is just proving to have a little bit more mettle about him this season. The qualifying pace to Lewis Hamilton has been unbelievably close. He's got the last 2 pole positions as well. And Hamilton is the all-time best qualifier in Formula 1. So if Bottas is matching Hamilton, it's a very encouraging sign. Sure, in Baku, Hamilton made a mistake in the first couple of corners. Maybe could have had pole position, but he didn't. And Bottas did. So ifs, buts and maybes. But at the moment, that mistake gave Bottas the win in Baku. One wonders if by the time we get to Austin and Hamilton and Bottas are still fighting for the title, if Hamilton might do a Nico Rosberg move on Bottas if they're in the same position. Now, another man that could have made it a real fight for the podium, maybe even more, was Charles Leclerc. He had such good pace the whole weekend. He looked like he was a bit quicker than Sebastian Vettel. Ferrari's main hope, but it all went up in smoke. In Q2, turn 8, such a notoriously difficult corner. Let's have a quick look at what happened there. Leclerc's mistake is simply he goes in too hot for turn 8, the narrowest part on the circuit, 7.5 metres wide, and by the time he's snatched that left front, he's not turning, he's washing wide into the wall. He basically has one option, which is to go straight, use the runoff, abort the lap. The other option is to crash. In the heat of the moment, it's very, very easy to get that one wrong and think you can sneak through, save the lap, carry some good speed in, but he doesn't make it, and it's a real shame for him. It was a tough one, and I know firsthand that this is a very difficult corner and it's a difficult decision to make in that moment, because let's have a look at this one. 2017, Palmer in the Renault. It saddens me still, but this is me making basically an identical mistake in too hot. This is only FP2, but you're trying to push the maximum all the time, and particularly in this corner because there is a lot of time to be had. I remember looking through the data and seeing, oh, I've got to find some time there. And inevitably, you can push too hard. Now again, I should have escaped down the runoff area, especially as it was FP2, but I didn't. Turned in, left front locked, and into the wall I went as well. So it's a very tricky corner and very easy to get wrong. The difference was when I crashed, there was a big curb on the inside. So the corner was in some ways harder because you could also hit the curb and go into the wall. It was also a bit narrower, the track, because the curb took up some meters, but it was also slower. And there was another incident in this year's qualifying for Robert Kubica. Now he has a very different accident. He turns in and just knocks the left front on the wall on the left of turn 8, somewhere Leclerc never got the chance to be near. And he's turning left with the steering wheel full lock. The left front tyre is turning right because he's already smashed it, and of course then he's just pitched into the wall, and it's a big accident for him. It seems a silly one to have, to turn into the wall, because you can sort of position the car, but actually on street circuits you aim for the wall and you just miss it. The perfect lap is to just miss the apexes of all these corners. Moments before Charles Leclerc had an accident at his Ferrari, Sebastian Vettel was also out there on the medium compounded tyre, and look how close he gets to the barrier with his left front. This is exactly what I'm talking about, getting right up to the barrier. There's so much time, and in slow corners in general there's a lot of time to be had, so that's why everyone's pushing the absolute limit on such a perilous corner. But the fact that Vettel's left front is that close to the inside wall, his left rear sticks out a bit more, so it's inevitably going to hit. And actually that is one beautifully held moment from Sebastian Vettel. In fairness, he made a little mistake on the way in, but that catch really saved his qualifying and gave him a podium at the end of the weekend. So after the start and the early lap shakeout, it was actually quite a quiet race, considering it's Baku and we expect a lot of drama. But there was a bit of drama on lap 31, and it was Daniel Ricciardo and his former teammate Daniel KVYAT. You can see the blinking light of Daniel KVYAT's Toro Rosso. It means he's harvesting energy, basically. He's losing a bit of speed at the end of the straight. Ricciardo has the DRS and he's approaching, but they brake at the same position. Then Ricciardo just eases off the brakes in the second phase and suddenly shoots pretty quick into the corner, and it's clear he can't make it. He doesn't even try to turn in. If he tried to turn in, he'd hit the wall on the outside and be out of the race on the spot. As it happened, it kind of was out of the race anyway, because we saw one of the most bizarre incidents I can remember. He puts it very quickly into reverse. It's the first thing on his mind. He's overshot the corner. He's in a fight for a points position. And he's on the radio to the team, I believe, as well, with the red light popping up on the right-hand side. And then he's just reversing, not expecting Daniel KVYAT to be there. It's a flustered mistake from Ricciardo. The first move was ambitious. The second one, just a little bit clumsy, really. He's not checking the mirrors, but I can understand in a race situation, you realise that you've made a bit of a mistake and you just sort of want to get back on track as soon as possible. But not his finest hour. He ended up retiring from the race as a result, and sadly picked up a 3-place grid penalty for Barcelona. Now that should be a better race for Renault. They had a really bad time in Baku, but a 3-place grid drop is not what Daniel Ricciardo needed there. I think there's an element of frustration probably because he's fighting to even make Q2 in Baku. He's only made Q3 once in the year, and he's used to fighting for wins. At this point last year, he had a Grand Prix victory already. He's got another one coming around the corner. A Grand Prix victory in Monaco seems a very long way away this year.